SafeDem blasts big in Bogota. Plant and equipment fires are on the increase. And Despe takes the top-down way in Denmark. All that and more on the Weekend Wrap. If I asked you to name some great British exports, what would you say? JCB equipment? Stilton cheese? Hollywood movie villains? All of those are right, but there is a lesser-known export that has continued to operate right the way throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, exporting as far afield as the Middle East, the US, and right across Europe. And that export is explosive demolition expertise, or more specifically in this instance, Scottish explosive demolition demolition expertise. My apologies. Late last night UK time, Dundee-based SafeDem notched up yet another successful explosive demolition event, this time in the Colombian capital, Bogota. Let's take a look. Speaking exclusively to demolitionnews.com, SafeDem's William Sinclair explained that the complex covered more than 36,000 square metres and was located in the heart of a ministry property with over 4,000 active military and administrative personnel working in nearby buildings. The demolished structures were located just 2 metres from a live data and communications hub that served over 200 military bases right the way across Colombia. Satellite dishes and communication masts were operational throughout the preparatory works and the demolition itself. So massive congratulations to the SafeDem team and to their international collaboration partners. You can read all about this project on Demolition News exclusively right now. Remember that feeling of relief when the restrictions of the first lockdown were lifted? How we were all keen to make up for lost time? How we all bought into the Build Back Better message from the UK government and pushed perhaps that little bit harder? Even setting aside political allegiances, it's fair to say that all that hard work has paid off. The UK construction industry is once again flying high. But there has apparently been a downside to that sudden bout of hard work. According to specialist insurer HSB, the UK construction sector saw plant and equipment fires double in 2020. A review of insurance claims data highlighted a surge in plant fire claims in the second and third quarter of 2020, reflecting the impact pandemic-related project delays have had on the UK construction industry. The data shows that these operational fires were due to increased hydraulic hose failures and electrical faults, a sign that plant and equipment was being worked harder than usual. HSB's John Nichols says, Our claims data provides a clear indication that the pandemic has impacted on the number of plant fire claims we have seen. As construction sites remobilised after the first lockdown and contractors sought to steer projects back on schedule, plant was worked harder than usual, placing additional stress on working parts and electrical systems. With projects typically operating to tight deadlines, the repercussions of out-of-action equipment can be costly. Just so you know, I have actually reached out to HSB, to several hydraulic hose providers, and to a fire suppression company in the hope of looking at this subject in greater depth. I will keep you posted when those good folks get back to me at some point, hopefully in the very near future. A few months back, I reported in the Demolition magazine that the top-down way system devised by Italian demolition giant Despe had been deployed in Denmark to tackle the delicate demolition of an 88-metre tall silo that has stood sentinel over the world-famous Carlsberg factory for decades. The contract to demolish the tower was actually awarded to local company P. Olsen, which then reached out to Despe to utilise the Italian company's top-down way technology. A top-down way, just for those that don't know, it's an auto-descending system with a hydraulic drive that can be adapted to suit individual buildings. It's basically installed on top of the structure and encapsulates the top 3 stories, allowing the removal of the windows, the demolition of the floors, and the containment of the debris, very importantly. As the works proceed, the platform descends to the next level by means of control mode operations. The building is demolished story by story until it reaches ground level, basically. Well, that Carlsberg project is now pretty much over and done with, and our friends at Despe very kindly shared some video footage of the system in action. Our video editors gave it a few cuts and tweaks, and I'm ready to show it to you now. So sit back and enjoy this. Now, I was actually lucky enough to get on board the top-down way system up in Scotland a few years ago when Dundee-based SafeDem was using it to great effect in the demolition of a pair of tower blocks known as the Gallowgate Twins. I was impressed then, and I'm impressed now. Is it the best top-down demolition system in the world? Probably. Just as an aside, when the system was deployed up in Scotland, Despe actually sent over a team of their operators to actually operate the system, and they insisted on bringing with them their own Italian coffee machine and Italian coffee. So about 20 stories above the Glasgow landscape, I stood there drinking one of the best espressos I've ever drank in my life. It really is a fantastic tool, and hats off to Despe for having developed it. And it's really pleasing to see it being deployed in other parts of the world. So congratulations to Despe and to Pete Olsen for reaching out to them in the first place. And we start with the news of yet another building collapse, this time in the UK, and this time directly linked to demolition. London Fire Brigade says that the building had been undergoing demolition before partially collapsing into the highway, leaving scaffolding in a precarious position. Crews made the scene safe, and a safety cordon was put in place as a precaution. Local newspapers in the Welling area down in Kent are reporting that one man was treated at the scene by London Ambulance Service crews and subsequently taken to hospital. At the last time I checked, there hasn't been any update on the man's condition or on the cause of the collapse. We will bring you more as we get it, but this must surely prompt a much closer examination of the role of scaffolding in the containment of demolition. I'm just hearing that we're about to receive a comment on this from the industry's trade body. Yeah, insightful. I have a particular affinity with the machine I'm about to show you. I'm pretty sure I was the first journalist to report on it when it was first launched. And during a memorable trip to Japan, I was definitely the first journalist to actually see the machine in the flesh. And now Caterpillar has produced a new film showing that stunning machine in action. Let's take a look. it's interesting that both Caterpillar and more recently Volvo have come to the market recently with a straight boom machines for the demolition market. Now, speaking of Volvo, I'm scheduled to interview one of the Volvo team about the new Volvo EC380 straight boom machine early next week. If all goes according to plan, that interview will form part of one of the first episodes of the New Look Breakfast show, so be sure to watch this space.
If you enjoyed this show, please consider supporting us. Go to buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.